everyone, welcome to the video. Today we are going to explore the SAP UI5 SDK, also known as SAP UI5 Demo Kit or SAP UI5 Developer Kit. So this is the official documentation website for SAP UI5. It has records for every feature or functionality available in the SAP UI5. If you are looking for something related to controls or anything related to UI5, this is a really good place to start looking. So let's start with the documentation section. This is essentially the official user manual of SAP UI5. It contains detailed explanation, development guidelines for every major concept in UI5. So let's just look at an example. So here you can see how a JSON model data can be bind to our application, and it also has details about related information as well. This is how you bind JSON model to our application. So the next is API reference. It holds information about every UI5 control and module. This is where you will understand exactly how each control works internally. Let's look at this with an example. On the left hand side, you can see SAP module, and below that we have several other options. So for the most part, while learning basics, we will be looking at SAPM. So M stands for mobile. This is optimized for mobile and desktop applications. So in our last video, we did a simple form using input and buttons. That was under the SAPM namespace. So I'm going to choose a control, which you guys are familiar with. So let's just choose button. As you can see, this is class SAPM button. Below that, you can see control sample SAPM button. And you click on that, you will be redirected to the samples page. We will come back to this in a bit. For now, let's go back to API reference. Okay. Below that, you can see UX guidelines. If you click on it, it will be redirected to a link to the documentation about button. You can read this, it will give you a better understanding about button. Coming back. So next you can see extends SAP UI core control, which means that the SAPM button is inheriting properties from SAP UI core control. So the next thing you need to know are 4 sections. They are properties, aggregations, events, and methods. Properties are basic attributes of a control. So for here, it will list all the attributes that can be used inside the button tag. For example, text, you can see the property name, type, and default value, and some description. As you can see, some properties has declared classes as their type. So for example, let's look at the property type. So its type is SAPM button type. Default value is default. So you might ask, what are the other values that we can assign to type? To know that, just click on this. See different values which you can give to the type property, like accept, attention, back, critical, default, emphasized, ghost, negative, etc. You can go through this and can understand how each property behaves. So if you don't know what properties are used or can be used inside an UI5 control, you can refer here. Coming back. Next is aggregations. Aggregations are used when you want to place controls inside another control. So let's go to another example. Table. So when you look at aggregation, we only have one. This is used to declare column header. Let me just show you an example. So columns aggregation. So inside column aggregation, you use the column type to define column headers. You can use the label tag to set the text inside the column. Text attribute. We will just make 2 more columns. It's just on the app. As you can see, the table and the header for it is created. So moving on to the next, we have events. So the control has a functionality to send a signal of a trigger when any change happens in the control. So the attributes that makes this happen is events. For example, in the previous video we did a press event on our button. So for table we have 3 events before open context menu, paste and popping changed. So the next is methods. Methods are functions of an UFI control. They allow you to get, set, change or trigger behavior programmatically. In our previous video, we used the method set value for our refresh button logic. So similarly, table also has a list of methods described here. Similar to events, it also had details about where it is borrowed from and a brief description about each method. Moving on to the next, let's go to samples. The samples section contains real working examples of UFI control. Here you can find source code for almost every control in SAP UI5. Not only just code, you can also see a working model of the UI, and you also have the option to make modifications to the written code. So you can experiment without going anywhere else. So let's look at an example. So you can see the code here. So if you want to edit on the code, you can just click on where you want to edit and edit. Okay. So do note that editing code here has its restrictions. So do check it on your own. So you can check about any UI5 control here. For example, let's go to tables and select SAPM responsive table. And you can see the UI. You can also see the code. So if you want to copy this code and use it in your own project, you can also do that. So if you want to download this code, you also have the option to download it. Just click on the download button. All files are zip and it will be downloaded. So the next section is demo apps. This is a small collection of fully built applications which anyone can view or download. You can click on the open app to view it. So let's just open this app. So as you can see, it's a complete application. So that's all for the video. I hope you got an idea about demo kit. Now if you want, you can look on your own about controls, its related properties and functions. Once you learn to use this, it will be a really useful tool for you. Summarizing what we'll see today, we explored through SAPUI5 Demo Kit. We looked at documentation part. Then we moved on to API reference, did a brief look around on it. Then we learned about the 4 main sections of API reference, that is properties, aggregations, methods and events. Then we looked at the sample section where you can see live demos and source codes for the projects. Also we looked at the demo app section. So that's all for this video. Thank you.